Gun's filled with rock salt. It's not gonna kill me.
What's up, Goth Gamer Nation and Goth Hunters, and welcome to Darkened Streams, wherein I review every one of the 327 episodes of Supernatural, and then I guess maybe the anime. I feel like that would just be upsetting afterwards. Or however many YouTube allows before shutting me down. I don't monetize these, and they're very transformative, but who knows? Who's to say? What did we learn in the last episode? Firstly, if you're being bullied by a malevolent ghost, you better hope your mom is also a ghost who can give the bad ghost a piece of her mind. Secondly, sometimes the boys are the ones who get the bill at the end of a hunt. Their ghost hunting methods often incur some collateral damage. And lastly, if you're calling your dad and he's not answering, he could just be ignoring you to find your mother's killer. That's what I tell myself. Season 1, Episode 10, entitled Asylum, is the second and last episode written by David Hayden, who previously wrote Episode 4, Phantom Traveler. He will be missed, but he did stay on as an executive producer all the way into Season 2. Godspeed, David. Good luck writing for Grimm and other shows I'll never watch. The centerpiece of this episode is the fantastic filming location, which is the real abandoned Riverview Hospital. It consisted of 8 buildings that were initially built around the turn of the century, and up until its demolition in 2017, was frequently used in a number of films and television shows. Likely because it can easily double as a lot of atmospheric locations like hospitals, prisons, and apartment buildings. It's got a pretty recognizable exterior, and you can see it crop up in lots of things like the Watchmen film. This isn't even the first nor the last time Supernatural would choose to film here. In episode 5, Bloody Mary, that's the hospital, and probably a number of other times that I can't spot up into season 13. Fellow Canadian production, X-Files, was no stranger to Riverview, and used the location as early as its pilot episode and Squeeze, all the way up to seasons 10 and 11. In the director's chair this time around is Guy B., who before and after did a lot of work for other CW shows. Some of them even lasted a season or two. You remember the Tomorrow People? Funnily enough, that show appears to have Mark Pellegrino in the cast, who is a pretty important character to Supernatural starting in season 5. This looks dumb though. What about Ringer? Come on, Ringer? Sarah Michelle Gellar is a stripper that apparently witnessed a mob murder, and then her twin sister kills herself so she can take over her life? What the fuck? I would have canceled this mid-sentence. Oh, Nestor Carbonell is in it. Give it another shot. Give Batmanuel another shot. After what is, so far, one of the most bleak cold openings, in which a police officer chases off some teens from a famously haunted asylum, then promptly goes home and shoots his wife and then himself in a weird, blank-faced daze, we get the first mention of the show's literal most important character, and that's Caleb.
Caleb hasn't heard from him?
And I can't wait for you guys to experience the full Caleb arc. It's really the crowning achievement of Supernatural as a franchise. I don't mean to hype it up, but get hyped. Unable to contact anyone who's seen their father, the boys have one of many arguments about how best to track him down and whether or not he's even alive. Nobody's seen him, not even Caleb. That is, until Dean gets a mysterious text message with coordinates, which due to their deeply troubled childhood, they take as a sign of paternal endearment. Daddy wants us to go somewhere. The coordinates lead to Rockford, Illinois, where they stumble on the story of the shooting, which matches a similar article John left in his journal. They both put together that they're being sent a job, and have wildly different reactions to that. Dean is ready to go punch a monster if it would make his father notice him, and Sam is frustrated that he's sending them to do small fry side missions instead of just telling them where he is and what he's up to. They head on over to Rockford and bamboozle the dead cop's partner into spilling the details on him. This guy, by the way, very good at playing a cop. It's almost like he did it in another show before, perhaps the 6th episode of its first season, but I don't know. By all accounts, the deceased policeman was a regular enough dude up until he stepped foot into the south wing of the asylum. That, combined with its history of missing teens, is enough for the boys to bust in and investigate. This first season has a lot of arguments like this one.
I understand that, Sam, but he's given us an order.
So what? We gotta always follow Dad's orders?
Of course we do.
Obviously, down the line, they find plenty of dumb new shit to hate each other for, but I do really enjoy that more than one of these early episodes uses the hunt to examine their feelings about each other. It's something I'm far more forgiving of in season 1 because I get it, I get who they are, and they both have solid reasons to resent each other, whereas once they work through this initial shit, I would just roll my eyes whenever they found a new reason to lie to each other or part ways or punch each other. Like, just get over it. Just kiss, please! Just kiss him! Dean, I can't! Sammy! Before they launch a full-scale ghost hunt in the asylum, they decide to do some research on the riot and ensuing closure of its south wing. They off-camera, I guess, learn that the asylum's long-dead chief of staff, Dr. Ellicott, has a living son who now works as a psychologist.
Come on in.
I guess they linger on this shot because there's an interview with Jared Padalecki in this issue of Men's Health, but it seems like a very time-sensitive Easter egg. Plus, I probably would have needed a subscription to Men's Health to get the joke. I can't really think of a publication that is more the polar opposite of the way I live my life. So they make a therapy appointment for Sam so he can suss out the details, but really it just forces him to confront a lot of his feelings about Dean. This is, in a lot of ways, a Sam episode. It's examining what's been going on in his head, and you know, I like to give Sam a lot of shit because at certain points in the series, his character seems to lose sight of himself. I think as Sam's hair improves, he loses depth, and they keep giving him shit to do that seems character defining, and then they take it away in the next season. There are long stretches where I don't feel like I get who Sam is or what he wants, so I'm just now remembering about this time where I could describe who Sam is in more than a sentence or two. He's logical and book smart, but naive and frustrated at the same time, very conflicted. A lot going on up in his noodle. He thought he was free of the life that his father raised him into, but then he lost everything and his family is all he has now. And after spending who knows how long in a car with Dean looking for their father, old resentments and bitterness come up. That's a reoccurring thing needling Sam in this episode, like when Dean points out the favoritism he receives for following their father's orders.
See that attitude right there? That is why I always got the extra cookie.
And when later on...
And Dean? He's your boss?
No.
And Sam gives her a look that says, I have a gun in my hands. You've seen what I can do with a flashlight. Oh, fuck yeah, dude. Where did you train, bro? Ellicott Jr. explains that the South Wing housed the asylum's most violent and unruly patients, and the riot that took place there was so gruesome that many of the victims' bodies were never recovered, meaning the place is probably full of angry, restless ghosts without bones to burn. That night, the boys decide to head back to the South Wing, fully equipped to hunt some ghosts. But around the same time, two dummies named Kat and Gavin show up to explore it as well, just as a laugh. Hey babe, wouldn't it be funny if I brought you to an abandoned murder asylum full of rusty needles just begging to give you tetanus? You're into that, right? That's something you would like? It doesn't look like you like it. Well, let's stay anyway. The boys are immediately met with a ton of ghost activity. The re-device is off the charts, and Sam is approached by a mysteriously benign ghost.
Hey, sweetie. Couldn't take it, huh?
So is the shitty boyfriend, in what is actually one of the most effectively creepy moments in this whole series. They meet up with Kat, who's been abandoned by Gavin, and split up Scooby-Doo style to look for him, and then split up once more to find Dean, who's begun to unravel the asylum's mystery, learning that Dr. Ellicott performed some kind of wacky, unethical rage treatment on his patients that caused them to riot and kill each other, himself being killed in the chaos. The monster this week is another one of those special ghosts that often show up. There are run-of-the-mill ghosts that are spooky, but just the red herring, and then guys like Ellicott who have some kind of power that the other ghosts don't. It's like their mom had firepower, this guy's got electric fingers, and he's able to trick Sam into leaving the group by impersonating Dean on the phone, and then uses his mind scramble ability on him. The same thing he did to the policeman in the opening, filling his head with a homicidal rage, but one that taps into an existing conflict, like a small argument he had with his wife that morning. He's essentially a boss from the suffering, who can use his twisted practices with only his fingertips. He's really cool looking and really great at playing a creepy doctor. It's almost like he's done it before, perhaps say on season 4, episode 6 of some other show. While Dean tries to find where Ellicott's remains are hidden, he's attacked by Sam, who goes off on him. Sick of doing everything he tells him to do, sick of nobody acknowledging that he's got a big boy college brain. All the shit that he's been repressing is coming out unfiltered.
You're not gonna shoot your own brother, are you, Sammy? Sam!
This standoff between them is a great scene because, you know, even though some supernatural manipulation is at fault for it, everything Sam is saying is likely the truth. But Dean is so confident that their love will win out that he hands him a gun to finish the job. And when he sees that Sam isn't fazed by this, he looks genuinely wounded emotionally.
You hate me that much?
And I don't mean to sound like an asshole, but Jared and Jensen are doing a lot of acting in this episode. And nailing a lot of it, I'd say. I like this episode a lot. It's one of my favorites this season because it has several great character moments as well as creepy ghost encounters, great sets and makeup, and imagery reminiscent of films like Jacob's Ladder and Session 9. Compared to the previous episode, there's a lot more light and playful banter between Sam and Dean, even in the midst of such a dark script. It's back to horror but fun. That's horror but fun. Horror, but fun. You got the escort mission subplot, and the fact that the ghosts just want their help to be free of the bad ghost, but they initially just start blasting. I don't have very many criticisms of this one. There are at least 2 times that they do this cheap-looking frame rate drop, either to pad out runtime or because they didn't like how quickly something happened. See, that's not an edit, it just looks like that. Dean is able to overpower Sam and knock him out while he looks for Ellicott's bones so he can piss on them. With the ghost defeated, Sam regains consciousness, substantially less tilted, and they see Kat and Gavin off. Sam attempts to apologize to Dean.
Dean, you remember way back when I called you a fucker? I didn't mean that, dude.
But you can see that the damage is sort of done, and Dean doesn't have any interest addressing it right now. The next morning, they get one heck of a cliffhanger.
Hello? Dad?
Mr. President.
Hey, Sam, who do you think's a hotter psychic? Trisha Arquette, Jennifer Love Hewitt, or you?
Just been on a road trip with my brother.
Was that fun?
Loads.
This brother you're road tripping with, how do you feel about him?
I love the guy, but I swear he writes like friggin' Yoda.
Nigel Tufnell with the Chicago Tribune. Let me know if you see any dead people, Haley Joel. Kinda like my man Jack in Cuckoo's Nest. Kinda like my man Jack in The Shining.